Hi. It's 2 weeks till Essen. Maybe a little longer, I don't really know. It's too soon either way. Hello and welcome to this video. Okay, hi! I'm sick, but I'm gonna make this video anyway. Basically, last year I made my Essen 2017 most anticipated games. And incidentally, there were 17 titles on that list. It was entirely an accident. There was no correlation to the year. I make my list by going through the Essen BGG preview list that Eric Martin does. It's a very comprehensive list. He gets it via press releases and things like that. Companies tell him and send it to him, and it's great. And I go through and I read rulebooks and look at reviews and pre-reviews and things like that, and filter out what I'm interested in. And so that was my list from last year. And this video is not my list for this year. This video is about last year's list and what of those 17 titles we still have in our collection, why we don't have certain titles still in our collection, and what surprise finds we had at Essen last year that are now available or just becoming more readily available, or maybe they already have it, I don't know. Anyway, let's get into this. I don't know if I like this framing. Oh well. Okay, number 17 is Nursford, which is right there. It's still in the collection. This is a new A. Rosenberg game. We actually got rid of Glassroad because we like Nursford more. Glassroad's still really good. We just like the simplicity of Nursford. It works really well from 2 to 5 players. It plays solo too. We haven't played it solo, but I've played it 2-player, 3-player, and 4-player, and I like all those player counts. It's got the worker placement elements of a lot of his other titles, but the fish economy is really interesting. So there's that. We did a stream on it. We've done a stream on most of these. Links down below. Okay, next up, Quasio. This was from Hava. We don't have it anymore. It was good. It was interesting. It was pattern building on this like cool water cascading thing. The problem is it was just super fiddly to set up with the watermelon with the waterfall boards, and then teardown was super fiddly because the gems you have to sort them out and all other stuff. So it wasn't really worth it, and it just can't be Maduras for us, which we feel is one of the most underrated Hava games out there. It's really good, heavy Euro. I should do a review about it. Okay, next up. Sakura Hunt is a game where you are trying to like do sets of sakura blossoms and stuff, and I honestly can't remember much about it, but we got it. We played it before us and put it on our list for us, and we played it after us and we liked it. Have not played it since then. Still have it though. Iberian Rails! Oh, this was a good one. So Iberian Rails, still have it. It's over there due to the top hat. Really like it. It's a very interesting twist on train games and kind of 18xx with Steam, but like simplified. Yeah, it's a really interesting mix. Steve and I really want to stream it. Our first game took a long time, but we really enjoyed it. It worked really well 2-player, which is a surprise. Like Steam, I love Steam. Steam doesn't work well 2-player, even with the 2-player maps. 18xx games, not super as well, which there's one on this list. We'll get there when we get there. But Iberian Rails did really well. We both really enjoyed it. That's why it's on the top shelf. Spoilers. The higher off the floor the games are in our house, the more we like them. I am enthusiastic, I swear. Alright, next up. Zulurado Duel! I really like Zulurado Duel. Zulurado Duel is a 2-player only version of Zulurado. If you are familiar with Colorado, it's similar, but with zoo animals. I really like Zulurado Duel. I've played it a couple times now, 3 or 4 times. I really like it. I like Zulurado. I like Aquarado. We have Zulurado plus Aquarado right there. And yeah, and we have Colorado, and we had the dice Zulurado, but we got rid of that. Because why wouldn't we just play Colorado? Zulurado Duel though, Steve didn't really like it. He played it twice, and we streamed it, and I just destroyed him. It just didn't click for him. I don't know. I want to play it again with him, but it's on our maybe going shelf because If I can't get him to play it again with me, it's gotta go. Nuria! There was a lot of buzz. You notice no one's talking about Nuria anymore. Yeah, there's a reason. We don't have Nuria anymore either. We got rid of it pretty quick. Basically, Nuria was a rondel game where you had 3 rondels within each other, and the timing mechanism of how they lined up would correlate to how you did it. But actually, once you kind of learned how to build the rondel, the novelty was sort of lost. But yeah, Nuria was an interesting design, but the replayability was pretty low for me. I think we played it 3 times, and I was like, yeah, I get it. Even Steve was like, yeah, no, I get it. Like, once the novelty of the rings inside the rings wore off, it was kind of like, eh. Plus, it was kind of fiddly with the rings. They were a little warped. That high-pitched squealing is great. Normally, I'm like a lot more like, whatever. What is it? Sensitive. On like filtering and pulling punches, but I just can't. I just can't right now. I'm out of spoons, as they say. If I had them, I would be using them to spoon the snot out of my head. Okay, next up was Topiary by Danny Devine. We really liked Topiary. Topiary ended up coming over to the United States via Renegade, who's bringing over everything. But with Topiary, it played okay at 2-player. It really showed at 3-player, maybe 4-player. Maybe a little too much at 4-player, was a little too chaotic. 2-player, you could do a little too much of what you wanted, but there were so many great tile placement games that came out last year in 2017 that Topiary kind of just got put on the far end of our shelf and we just never played it, and so Topiary actually has moved on from our collection. Still enjoy it, still like it, but there's better. For us, at least. Next was Come Together, a game by Matt Fantastic. This was a game about exploring like sexual kinks and activities with your partner, and Steve and I enjoy it. It's a good game. It's not really much of a game, but it's good. Yeah. My heart started racing so much I palpitated. Woo! Alright, number 9, or whatever, next, was Montana by Rudiger Dorn. We really like Rudiger Dorn games. We have a lot of Rudiger Dorn games. He's like one of our favorite designers. And we really liked Montana, actually. Like, really fun. The problem is the setup for Montana takes about twice as long as playing Montana, which is a problem for us. It's a significant problem for us. We have a very strong criteria in regards to setup time versus play time and enjoyment time. And with Montana, it was one of those games where it was like, okay, we're gonna play twice in a row because we're not going to set this up again. And while it was enjoyable, it was just really like not worth the setup time, which sucks, but it's just how it is. So there's a lot of wood, there's a lot of fancy bits, but in the end it was like, maybe this would have been better if we just like tracked things. I don't know, probably not. It's one of the things. Next up, I'm like trying to remember to move to make the camera interesting, and I'm like, was Heaven and Ale! Heaven and Ale! Michael Kiesling. He was like, Michael Kiesling was everywhere on this list. So Heaven and Ale, this game about monks making beer, is good. It has a really interesting swing mechanic. It was a similar thing that they did in Riverboat, but Riverboat, aside from its like offensive historical theme, more on that later. Riverboat, you had like this field thing, and then you had Riverboat just felt like a pre-design of Heaven and Ale, which was kind of weird. But Heaven and Ale was really good. It's well thought out. We really like it. We still have it. I've actually been wanting to play it recently, so that's a good sign. Heaven and Ale. Alright, next up was Favelas! I love Favelas. Favelas got a lot of hate because of the theme being the Brazilian, super colorful, basically slum buildings. And it got a lot of pushback on theme and like appropriation and stuff like that, and at the same time, like, it's sort of like a tourist trap part of Brazil, and it's weird. I don't really understand a lot of the specifics of the issue with the game. Personally, I haven't researched it a lot, but it's not offensive. It's not like you're killing people. It's slums, yes, and they're colorful slums, but like they're a very proud neighborhood now, so I'm not sure. And Chris Bryan was trying, yeah, he did a thing about it. There's like a whole bunch of stuff about it. But either way, WizKids hasn't done a lot of marketing. They never really do marketing on their games anyway. But Favelas, we really like it as a tile placement abstract strategy game, which has some very interesting repercussions on like drafting and oh my gosh, my brain hurts, tile placement, which Steve is really good at tile placement games, but Favelas has a restricted board size that makes even his brain hurt, so that makes me happy. So Favelas, still got it. It's over there on our favorites shelf. I'm so tired. Next up was this Sanctuary Endangered Species. This had a really interesting worker placement, action selection, like accruement mechanic, and also with like building the setup. It was really interesting play-wise from that mechanic standpoint, but what you were doing with that mechanic was less interesting. Like, I was a lot more interested in the action and worker placement and trying to mitigate that and figure out the best solution for what I wanted, but then like what I was doing with that didn't really grasp me as interesting, which kind of stunk. But, so it's got an interesting mechanic. I'm interested to see if somebody uses that mechanic for something else in the future, so there's that. If you're a designer and you're looking for interesting design mechanics on worker stuff, check out the Sanctuary. Endangered Species, which I still technically have, but I'm trying to sell it. Turns out nobody really here knows what it is in the United States. Okay, next up. 18CZ! So 18CZ, we haven't played fully. We played the starter game, and the starter game is just about laying track, and it's like a really dumbed down version of laying track, which really 18xx games aren't super complicated in laying track as it is. But there was no stock management, but Steve and I got the feel for the laying track part, and we're both interested in playing stock. The problem is that we played Iberian Rails before we played 18CZ, and we're just like, let's just play Iberian Rails. Next up on the list was Azul, and Azul is no longer in this house. I got rid of it pretty quick. So I've actually filmed a review about Azul, talking about why it's kind of like meh for me, but I don't think I've edited it, and I no longer have a copy to film the B-roll of it, so there's that. But Azul is, I mean, it's a really straightforward tile placement game, but it's like too straightforward for Steve and I. We enjoy playing it with everybody, but like from a teaching standpoint, for casual gamers, it's a lot easier to teach. It's a lot easier to teach Dream Home in regards to like teaching them how to draft. There was something that like literally just came out that was like way easier to teach than Azul, and I just can't even right now. I don't know. Anyway, the like scoring part, people always get confused by the scoring part of Azul, even like competent gamers. It's just frustrating. I've taught that game a lot, I've played that game a lot. I think I've played Azul maybe 15, 12 times, I don't know. But for me it was like, oh, I see it, oh, okay. It wasn't exciting for me. If you've made it this far and you're now starting to put the pitchforks out, yeah. Alright. Next up was Castles of Burgundy, the dice game. Love it. Still love it. Loved it before we got it. We played it before we got it at Essen. We got it. I loved it. We got rid of normal Castles of Burgundy. Sort of. My mom has it now at her house. We got rid of the card game one because the dice one is just, it's good. It's good. Okay. Then there was Castle Flutterstone, which sadly didn't release at Essen. It was on the like preview thingy saying that it was being released, and I went to everywhere at Essen to like all of the German, because it wasn't in English, it was only in a German release, and like they were like, yeah, no, that's not being released. It was like this whole big thing, and my niece didn't get it for Christmas, but I hadn't promised it for her for Christmas, so but I'm hoping to go and get it this year, the Pocket Travel Flutterstone, because she still loves that game. Like we played with her with it in July or whatever, so anyway. And then number one was Sunny Day on my list, and I still love Sunny Day. Sunny Day is so easy, it's very straightforward, it's a great kids game, but it's also like, it's so easy. People get it and they play it and they're like, oh, okay, whatever, and then like halfway through the game they're like, oh, I understand. Like there's some interesting things in regards to placing tiles and picking up tiles, and I enjoy it. It's simple, we play it a lot. It's in our quiver, like lives in our quiver. My mom wants me to get a second copy to live in Colorado because nobody in the US has brought it over yet. So when I'm in Essen, I have to buy a copy from the Korean company and then take it to my mom. So there you go. So there you go. That was my 2017 most intense list. What was that word? That was my Essen Spiel 2017 most anticipated games. Those were the top 17. Yeah. Sleeper hits from Essen last year that weren't on that list that we were just like, yeah, boy. Number one, Claim. We love Claim. Claim is like the best two-player trick-taking game we've ever had. It took us a while to play it, but once we played it, like, we got rid of Fox in the Forest immediately. Claim is just so good. Claim, super great. White Goblin Games does it, and they have a Claim 2 coming out. I've played Claim 2. Claim 2 is good. I mean, it's more powers and things of normal Claim. And then there's a thing called Claim Kingdoms coming out this year at Essen. I've played that as well. It's okay. It's okay. Another surprise hit from last year, Ilos. We like this game. It's like an island hopping whatever game. It was in my Essen Day 4 video. You can see some footage of it. But yeah, it's a good game, 2 to 5 players, kind of interesting tile placement, whatever. Market manipulation. Another surprise hit for us was 2-player Carcassonne. It's like a little 10 and it's just smaller. It's like travel size Carcassonne tiles, but it's only for 2 players and you only get 6 meeples and they're just a red and a blue meeple and that's all you got. And am I recording? I am. Okay. And it's good. We actually use it a lot. We take it to bars a lot and we'll play it. Steve has named it Barcasson. It's only in German. I don't think anybody in the US is going to bring it over, but we might pick up a copy and like do a giveaway or something. We really like it. Another surprise hit from us from Essen, which is like the controversy of Essen last year, was Santa Maria. So yes, we still have Santa Maria someplace. Yeah, right there, directly behind me. Santa Maria is a tile placement game where you have a grid and it's dice selection, and it's really good mechanically. Like, it's really just chef's kiss, right? And there's an expansion coming out at Essen this year for it. The problem with it is that it's just, once again, a bunch of Europeans made a game about colonialism in the Americas, and as someone who lives in the Americas and like stuff, there's like, you know, some offensiveness in it. A lot of people take offense that happiness is the main victory point condition, which, you know, so what you don't know about me is I was a history major. Yay! So I did computer science and history. I love history. History is like my thing. I love history a lot. And history is super twisted because humans are super twisted. And there's a lot to unpack in a European making a game about American colonialism where the victory point condition is how happy the colonists are. Like, that seems just very on point for European thinking, right? Like, really? And the offense comes in where the Americans who live in the Americas, who know about the culture of appropriation and like genocide and things like that, you know, they have a little bit of a different perspective. So there's a lot of debates on that one. There's a lot of people trying to petition the publisher to retheme. Yeah, anyway, if it doesn't super offend you, play the game. It's interesting from a mechanic standpoint, and we'll move on. I've already talked too much about that. Next sleeper hit was Charterstone. We love Charterstone. I was like, I don't know if I want to do another campaign game. We played Charterstone so fast. So fast. Faster than anything else, and we bought the recharge pack. Love it. Another hit, Feelings. Feelings was a game where you talk about your feelings, and it's a game about teaching empathy to people, and it really works best in a more like large group setting, and it works best if everyone is willing to actually play the game and not just phone it in, because it's a game where you try to feel and think how other people would feel in certain situations. It's led to some really interesting conversations the few times I've played it with people and friends. I've had one bad experience with it with my brother because he kind of phoned it in and he just made it kind of weird for everybody else. So there's that one. And then another one was Karuma the card game. We really like Karuma the card game. It's Karuma but a card game. It works really well. You can screw yourself just as well in Karuma the card game as in Karuma. So we actually keep Karuma the card game in our Clever. And then the other one was Altiplano, which I've actually gotten rid of already. So Altiplano didn't stay in our house very long. It's similar, it's a bag building game similar to Orleans, which we also don't have in the house anymore. The problem was it's like engine building, and just very little theme. There basically doesn't need to be a theme, and Steve does not like it, and I like it, but I like it in the way that I like solving calculus problems, and I mean that literally. I do like it in the way that I like solving calculus problems, which is I like solving calculus problems. So Steve's not a big fan, so that one's gone. It's also really fiddly to set up. Like, and that was the other thing. It was like, we have games in the house, in the collection, that are like, oh, I like it, but Steve doesn't. But Steve will play with me occasionally. But there needs to be, like, it needs to not have any other red flags. And the setup time and filliness, even if we bagged it a bunch and all this other stuff, made Altiplano a little rough. So, there you go. That was, and yes, I'm using Welcome to sheets, because I have, well, I shipped them off. I had 10,000 these in my house. Played a lot of Welcome to, which did come out at Essen last year. Welcome to came out at Essen this year. It's now available in the United States. Get your copy if you can. Little birdie told me they're on their 4th print run. Right? Yeah. They had to order their 4th print run. So, get it while you can. It's really good. I like it. You can play along with me. I hope this video was worth however long it took you to watch. I can't keep my eyes open anymore in this light. I'm gonna go do a sinus rinse, because those are great, and sleep, and then edit this video. I hope this was helpful / enjoyable. I'll see you next week, I think, for a video about something else. I want to do a video about how I go through the list for BGG. That might be interesting for Essen and other cons. And I might do a video about other stuff. But yes, we are going to Essen this year. Yes, I will be doing an anticipated list thing. No, I don't know how long it'll be. No, it'll be posted, I always post it the day or two before Essen, so you know, just wait. Yeah, that's all I got.